Hey, what up, everyone? Welcome to the G-Lew Show, Friday night interviews, and we are back once again. It's the 21st of March, 2025, and tonight I got a special guest, man. It's my brother right here, man. Blink. Um, for people who don't know, I used to have a radio show, online radio show called Blog Talk Radio, and Blink was on there quite a few times. My brother, we've been tapped in for some years. My brother been gone for a long time. He was serving a life sentence in California State Prison, right? And and we talked a lot, and it was this time, thing about Blink, he always had hope and faith. You know what I mean? He always told me, G-Lew, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. And we kept that faith up. Hold on one second. I know y'all can't see me. Let me bring myself in right quick. Hold up. Okay. There we go. What up, everyone? It's G-Lew. We're back again, Friday night interviews. And like I was speaking on my brother Blink, man, we used to talk a lot, right? And Blink used to tell me, G-Lew, man, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. And it'd be like, man, we keep that faith. I know one day I got my parole hearing, got this, you know what I mean? Then he would go to one, they would deny him. He had to wait some more years and all this type of shit, you deal with in the state, in the pen. You feel me? And you know, Blink would always say, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I would talk to my brother sometimes, man. And every time I told Blink this all the time, when I would talk to him, man, he would be in better spirits than me. You know what I mean? I'd be going through my own little things out here in the world. And Blink would always call me and be in great spirits. And, you know what I mean? He would lift me up times I was down. And he was like, shit, I'm the one in the pen. You know what I mean? And he would always lift me up. And he'd always say, I'm coming home, G-Lew, I'm coming home. I would be like, yeah, man, I know. Sometimes I'd be like, I don't know, Blink. You know what I mean? I don't know. I know you will. I hope you will. But, I don't know, how these things work. But lo and behold, you know what I mean? My brother said, I'm coming home, G. And now he's finally home after doing 38 years. I mean, come on, man. Who can do 38 years like my brother did right here, man, and be in good spirits, come home fresh, you know what I mean, looking good and good spirits and everything, man. And I'm just happy he's finally here. Like I said, we used to talk. I had him on my radio show a lot, but now he's here in the flesh. You know what I mean? So I want to welcome him to the show. My homeboy Antonio, aka Big Blink, is here. What up, Blink? I had to give you a proper introduction, brother.
Blessings, 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 and greetings to you.
Yeah, man. I introduced you a little bit, but won't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people, man, for the ones who
Uh,
don't know.
like like G-Lu said before, uh, back in 2021, all the way up into
Hold on,
2024.
Blink. Hold on, Blink. You got like a little echo. I know you got probably homies in the background. Probably turn down anything going on in the back, or tell people to turn down their phones or whatever else they got going, because we hear a little bit of an echo. Just want to hear you clear.
Well, well, one thing about this situation right here is a lot of these situations that we're in right now, we're not in control of due to we are still a part of the penal system that still governs our behavior that allow us to be limited to some of the things that we can control. And one of them is the devices or the noises that you hear because we are in a reentry hall where several people is inside here and we were trying to do the best we can. We were trying to find the best situation possible to where we could be able to do this podcast without being interrupted. And so
That's better right there.
we're gonna have
I don't know
some
what you did.
technical difficulties.
Okay. Okay.
But calm down just a little bit to where you can kind of somewhat hear me. Uh, is that good?
You was a little better. It was a little bit better for a minute. It's kind of going in and out, but we'll just work. We'll do the best we can. Go ahead, Blink.
Oh well. Anyway, like the brother said, that back in 2021, she moved out the show, and I was introduced to a show by a brother named Lee Spellman, and we did the show, and the show was very successful, and we had some good ratings. And like he was saying that I kept going to the board and they kept denying me. But let me get to the beginning of the story. That way you can get more familiar with the person that you're speaking to. Um, my name is Antonio, and I was a former ex-gang member, and I used to go by the name. And we're not going to get into where I used to be from because that has nothing to do with what the topic is today. Because the topic is today is dealing with mass excuse me, mass mass incarceration, along with board of Board, which we have people that will be speaking on that, such as Brother James, Brother Timothy, and Brother JB, known as Tehran. Back in 1984, I was wrongly convicted for a crime
Damn. Hold on, Blink.
which I
Bad
was.
echo. Hold on, Blink. Hold on. It's just real bad.
Oh man,
I just want to hear you
no,
clearly, man. That's all.
no, we about to get it together. We about to get it together. This is what we about to do. We just gotta just make it do what it do. Yeah, we about to get it together. We about to go up in the bathroom. Now, what about now, Jimmy? Is it better?
It's a little better. It's a little better. It's just an echo.
Can you
I
hear
don't
me
know
coming
where
down a little bit?
that's coming from.
What about now?
Yeah, that's a little bit better.
Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this right here. Yeah, yeah, we're gonna make this work now. How about this work? How about this here?
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead, Blink.
Okay, back what I was saying. Back in 1986, I was wrongly convicted for murder, and I was sentenced to 15 years to life. And within that 15 years to life, I ended up serving 38 years.
Mm.
And it wasn't until February the 7th that I was actually released. And through my incarceration, the brothers who we're about to bring on the platform, brothers that helped me change not only my thinking, but to get out of my own way, to understand my thinking, to be a better person today in society regarding the mass incarceration that people go through that's sentenced to a that's sentenced to a time that's over disproportionate to the time that they receive. And each brother will take time out and explain their situation as well as I will explain my situation once we get started with the show. But with that right there being said, G, we can go on and get into this right now.
Right. Okay. So Blink, break down a little bit more like you just spoke on. You were sentenced first, I think you said 15 to life, or was
Wow,
it 7 to life?
it's 15.
15 to life.
No, no, I was sentenced to 15 years to the California Youth Authority.
Okay.
And somehow to where the judge and my district, the judge and my attorneys, they had me plead guilty to a sentence to the California Youth Authority for 15 years to life to where I was only supposed to be doing 7.5 years.
Right.
But some way, somehow, being that I would be in the California Youth Authority over my 25th birthday, the California Youth Authority found me as a non-accepted youth. So I was sent to state prison without being sent back to prison to be, I mean, without being sent back to court to be resent. So they violated not only my due process and my constitutional rights, but they violated the process of the guilty plea within itself. So basically, I was sent to prison under an illegal sentence that wasn't void inside the courtrooms from the word say go.
Right.
So what ended up happening was that I started challenging the legal system. And when I started challenging the legal system, I ended up finding out that there was evidence inside the case that didn't have the merits that they said that arrested me for the word they wrote. So one thing about the penal system, once you become incarcerated, it's hard to get a post conviction overturned
Right.
because most judges don't like to overturn what it is that they send the person to prison with from the word said, unless there's a miscarriage of justice that you can show where you blatantly violated of the 14th Amendment right under the United States Constitution.
Right. Okay. Blink, I need you to kind of, if you can, be set the phone still, kind of all over the place, and it's got you going in and a little bit. I can't hear you now.
I meant, you know,
Okay. Can you hear me?
let me see. I can this out, man. I have reception up in here. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you a little bit better.
Yeah, we got it. We got it. You want to go outside? Okay, hold on. Let me try to find something right quick, G-Lew.
Okay.
Because only if you knew where we was at right now, man.
I got you. I
I'm
got you,
sitting in the bathtub, man.
bro.
On the
I got
real.
you.
Okay, I hear you. Come on.
Okay. Okay. Good. 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 That's a little bit better. Okay. So, speaking on mass incarceration, what type of what like when did you realize, or how long did it take you once you were in there? So many years did you started figuring out? Let me start trying to figure out a way to get out of here, or try to learn the law more and learn the ways that you could get out, or did you already know back then that you would have some? I mean, I don't know if you thought you knew you'd be there 38 years. Is what I'm saying when you were just sentenced to 15, or what that L meant
Well,
in the
well, I didn't know what none of that meant. But the one thing that I did know is that when you were sentenced to life, life man, life.
right.
But it wasn't until about 2016 when they came up with SB 109. And what
Okay.
SB 109 is was rehabilitation. And these brothers that's about to be speaking, coming on next, they was part of the situation to help me understand what it is that I needed to get done for the board of parole hearing to be get found suitable.
Right.
So I could say about 2016.
Okay. Okay. Now, what I want to do first, I guess I want to bring in, before we bring in everyone, I want to bring in JB, because JB I met. Well, we started tapping in early on with JB, and I know he was like somewhat of your representation. JB was locked up with you as well, got a date and went home, right? And JB started practicing law. I don't know if he was doing it there, but he started practicing law, and he was somewhat of your representation, right, on the outside.
Yeah. Yeah, what it was that me and JB go back to Tehachapi State Prison.
Okay.
And what it was that he was a young brother that came in like most young brothers, frustrated, angry, upset at the system. But the thing was is that I seen something inside of him to where he was a special brother that had a lot of insight that can not only help himself, but to help others do more with their rehabilitation and understanding what it needs to be done to be a productive citizen once you leave the streets. And he
Right.
started getting into the law, and he ended up getting found suitable. And then he took it from there. And I'm pretty sure he could tell the story from there.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let me bring in JB because JB I started tapping in with as well, and JB um really has a lot of knowledge on the things we're speaking about, and he was able to come home and make some things happen for himself, and now he practices law successfully, doing a lot of great things on the outside. So let me bring in my brother JB, aka Jerron Brignac, to the stage. JB,
Hey, what's up, G-Lew?
what's up, brother? How you doing, homie?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm good, homie. I'm good, man. Why don't you let the people know who you are, JB, and what part you play in all this right here?
Okay. Well, firstly, my name is Dron Bricknack. Uh, what I do now, I operate a paralegal firm,
Okay.
and I got to be very clear on that because of all the competitors that are lawyers. They like to use certain words under unauthorized practice of law to
Right.
try to hold me accountable for it. Yeah, they tried it, but it hasn't worked. But anyway, I operate a paralegal firm now, and it's basically primarily focuses on evictions,
Right.
uh, and helping. It started off with helping. I want to say when we first started on the show back in I believe 2021, it was primarily tenants that we were helping, that I was helping,
Right.
and then when I started to expand, went off to landlords like mom and pop landlords, especially throughout LA, that's being taken advantage of through this post-COVID stuff with the Los Angeles municipal codes that resulted in a lot of tenant protection acts, but it's really supposed to be applied to people that really need it and not those that's taking advantage of it. So I'm helping landlords as well. Uh, but to kind of tap into the background story of me and Mr. Welch, Antonio Welch, aka Blink. Um, yeah, I met Blink in Tehachapi, state prison. I was 21, and I was serving a 12-year sentence for robbery with a firearm.
Right.
Because I maxed out, I had to do the whole 12. Maxed out meaning like, if you have good time, you get like 85%, you can do 85% of your time. But
Right.
for me, because I had so many angry issues towards the system, and I went into that system with a lot of anger problems, so I kept getting rules violations. And to be in Tehachapi State Prison at that time, it's a 180 design, level 4 at that time. And for me to be there, I did a shoot. But by the time I got there, my shoot term was up. It was a 6-month shoot term for battery on an inmate with the weapon in Centinela State Prison. Centinela was a
Right.
270 level 4. So when I was 21,
Hey, I mean, JB,
yeah.
break down too for the people who don't know the difference because we're talking level fours, but a 270, 180, the difference in these different situations.
Okay. So a 270, like at that time, Centinela, uh, the way it's designed, the yard was split across the middle with the gate,
Right.
and it was C yard at that time. And the 270 is a lower level security level 4, but you're still on level 4. Your
Right.
custody level points at that time had to have been about 51 and up.
Right.
And most of the time, people that are serving life are a lot of time. They start off there, and some can't go below that. I know they developed something years later to where it doesn't matter. You can't go below that for some odd reason. But if you get into some kind of trouble from the level 4 270, you go to a security housing unit. That's the abbreviation is SHOOT. So
Right.
when you go there, you serve your time there. When they kick you out, generally you get kicked out to a 180 design level 4. A 180 design level 4, such as Tehachapi at that time, it's supposed to basically be developed to help them keep a closer eye on you. So like the way the sections in the each dorm, well not dorm, but each building, unlike a 270, where it's open, when you come out your cell, you guys, everybody gets to see each other in each section. You got A section, B section, C section.
Right.
Well, on a 180, when you come out and you're in A section, you can't see B section. It's a wall that divides you. And it's the same thing for B section. B section can't see C section. And when you come out to yard, every time you come out the yard, you get strip searched. And then when you're coming back inside the building, you get strip searched. So that's about it from what I can recall about like the difference between a 180 design prison and a 270 design prison.
Right. Okay. Just want to get some clarity on that. That's all, JB.
Yeah, and but I wanted to also touch on Blink. Like he helped a lot. What I mean by that is, at the time when I met him, he, every time that we talked, he preached or talked about a lot of positive things.
Right.
A lot of things that came out of my mouth at that time, I was basically showing a lot of, distributing a lot of frustration, a lot of anger. And I didn't know if I would be on the yard the next day or so. And he saw through that, and our conversations were always about basically trying to help me get my mind right. And I'm going to say it, I think I said it last time, one of the books that he sent to me was called How to Keep Your Mind Well by Roy Masters. I remember that book like it was yesterday. And Roy Masters is a person that basically, if you Google him, I believe he's a psychologist, and he wrote a lot of books on how to keep your mind well. And I started off reading that, which was pretty helpful, but you have to take time to focus on it. But anyway, I don't want to get just lost in that because I can go on a tangent on things. Now to see him out, as far as like actually being out, it's a great feeling. And there's a transition that takes place with everyone. And I'm just primarily happy that he's home and that he has the opportunity as well to really take advantage of getting the nonprofit that he founded and started called Life is for Change. Life is for Change, as I know he would expound on, is basically focused on helping those reintegrate back into society. Also counseling for those that are, that are out here, the youngsters, and helping those that might need some kind of legal aid in low-income communities. So, the Life is for Change is a very big, it has a very big vision, and it also is something that I believe is going to be very helpful to the world, not just the community, but it's going to start off from the community of LA, of course. And I'm going to just basically end my introduction and let Blink basically take it from there.
Okay. Thank you, JB. I want to tap in with you because early on, and like I told people, we used to do this on the radio before, and
Right.
you were the one, along with Blink, we would tap in and do a lot of great shows and speak a lot of stuff about what was going on. At this time, Blink was still incarcerated. You were free and out here making moves and like you said, trying to get things in order for whenever he did come home, and now he is home, and I'm just glad to see that happening, and you guys putting things in putting things in motion now, you know what I mean, that you always talked about. One more thing before you go, JB, did you ever, I'm sure you did, kept the faith. But was it a time because like you've been free, but Blink would had that L on the end of his shit, and did you ever think he would come home or win, or did you think it would be, even this soon, or what? Like where were you at with Blink? I mean, of course you were keeping the faith and hoping he came home and setting things in motion, but did you ever think realistically that he was coming home, or even like this now?
Well, yeah, I did. The reason why is because for me, I have a lot of family that
Right.
did, you know, over 20 something years
Right.
that was coming home. That I didn't, at one point I was like, wow, and then when I started to see it and paying attention to how the laws are changing, you know, like, I got a cousin, he got out after doing 23 years, a couple of
Right.
years younger than me. And then my other cousin, who's about almost about 15 something years older than me, he got out after serving a life sentence. And, then I have uncles that got out after serving so much time. And then as far as Blink, then my other friend, one of my brothers, AJ, he's still in there. I believe they went up to the board like around the same time.
Right.
But I had, as far as like knowing an exact date, no, I didn't. And a lot has to do with me being busy, and truthfully, I'm not the person that, you can ring my line, I don't pick up. I'm not the person to call all the time. I'm not going to pick up
Right.
all the time, but I'll be there for you. You know, uh, so it's like times that went by, and every now and then I get a call, and not every now and then. I mean, what I mean is we'll talk, and
Right.
he'll let me know like with high energy, um, I'm gonna be right there, and I would say, I know, man, I know you are, because I'm a firm believer in like, if you have your heart set on something, and you really want to do that, you can bring it into fruition. It starts off as a vision. And for me, I had a lot of disbelievers. I still do. But I ignore all of it, because when I'm focused on a vision, the only thing that's going to stop me is me. And I knew the same thing existed in Blink. So I knew that, it'd be that time. And when he told me, yeah, man, I got about, the way he talked, I got about, I want to say within 10 days, I'll be talking to you from self.
Right.
And sure enough, he was. I got a
Right.
text, seen pictures, seen him out. And I got to say, the way he hopped out, man, he hopped out like he was never in. He
That's what I'm saying. I said the same shit. I'm like, how he out here just living life doing it. I said the same thing. Like Blink, you like you never left.
he hopped out like he was never in, man.
So
So yeah, that's what I can, how I can conclude on that, man. You know.
that's right. Thank you, JB. Thank you for
Oh,
that, JB. And I
sure.
want to tap back in with you shortly to get some talk about some more stuff. But I know we got a lot to cover in this short time, so
Of
we'll
course.
tap back in shortly. But thank you, JB.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir. That's my brother JB right there. We back with Blinky Blink. I had you on mute, Blink, uh, stop that echo. But we're back. Shout out to Mom. Let me give a shout out to people in the chat. There's a lot of people in the chat. Shout out to Mama Pearl in the chat. Um, Shout out to DD, my producer, putting all the links in the chat so you can tap into. Shout out to Spank, Cecilia, Corco, Randy Jean, Irma, um, Spider-Man, and Stockton. You know what I mean? Everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us tonight. Shout out to Mark Jones in the chat. Shout out to BBC in the chat listening in. We're gonna open up the phone line shortly too if anyone wants to call in. But we're black. We're back with Blink. Hey Blink, can you hear me? I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you no more. I can't hear you, Blink.
I can't hear you, Blink.
Can you?
I can't hear you,
Can you hear
Blink.
me now?
I can't hear you, Blink. 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 I can't hear you, Blink.
Yeah, it's a crazy echo. Let me see. Let me see. Shit. I don't know. Can you hear me? I can't hear you no more. And then when I did hear you, it was a crazy echo. I can't hear you. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you now.
You know, I'm having some with my headphones right now. You know what the time is for my kids. So whatever it is. Put a
I
green
can't.
thing together. Again, when they take a speech, you already start to raise and the next
Hey, hold
on a green Timothy, man.
on.
You know,
She
that
go to YouTube
give this,
open. Hey,
you
hey, blink, 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 blink. Hold on,
yeah,
blink. Check this out. Try to do this. Try to go to the go out the StreamYard link and try to go to the YouTube link. I'm gonna put this YouTube link right here in the chat and click on that link and try to tap in from that. That might be easier because that StreamYard link may not be doing you justice right now. Hold on, hold on. Wait, wait. Let me see. YouTube StreamYard. Hold on. Try to link in from that right there. Let me see. Let me try to bring one of the homies in while we get this right with Blink. See if we got James out there. James, you ready to come in, bro?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, now I hear you clear, a little better
Yes,
than.
sir.
Okay, what's up, James? James, let the people know who you are, bro.
Oh, my name is James, man. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. I just finished wrapping up 33 years prison system. Parole like 4 days ago.
Wow, hold on. So stop right there, James. Because Blink came home from 38. You did 33 and just came home 4 days ago. You know what I mean? That's crazy. First of all, James, I don't know. You ain't got to get all deep into your I don't know, tell the people whatever you want, but you did 33 years, which means you've been gone since what the 80s, right? Late 80s, early 90s.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you want, tell the people a little bit about you ain't got to get in depth, but little bit about what landed you in prison and what was your initial sentence. Because I know Blink said he had the 15, but when you throw that L on there, whatever that little 15 or 10 or 7, whatever, it could turn into 33. So let the
Yes,
people
sir.
know about when you went in and did you know you would be doing a whole 33 or how that whole thing breaks down when they give you that L.
Well, unfortunately, brother, like many others come up in the urban community, I got involved with the gang lifestyle early on. Uh,
Right.
I took on this mindset that I wanted to try to be someone within that terrain and carve out some form of status for myself. You know, unfortunately I murdered someone. After I
Okay.
came into the system, I continued with that destructive behavior, that same self-destructive behavior. And unfortunately, I landed on these level fours where I stayed for 26 years.
Mm.
As time started to progress and the youngsters or the younger generation start to come into prison, I started seeing the shift in the mentality of the gang mentality,
Right.
where not saying anyone is better or anyone is worse, but you know, the generation before them that came in, we was more locked into making sure that the neighborhood looked good and not looked bad. And when the younger generation came in, it was more of a self-identity thing, more of an image and all about them. Not saying that that's a bad thing, but it gave me a better look. It
Right.
gave me a better look on life to understand that I had been sacrificing myself for something that never gave me nothing. And as I start to progress in my thinking, I start to understand that at some point in my life, I had to do something for me. and not for the sale. So that's why I began my journey. And when I walked in that door, I thought I'd never get out of prison, because unfortunately that was the fate of those that came in with a life sentence, with, you know, brothers like Suma and Tyree and Tony Stacy. You know, they did a lot of times before us,
Right.
but they made it out, and they gave us brothers like me and Blink some hope, man, that we can make it also.
Right. Man, that's deep right there. Like you said, when you came in, what was your initial? I know you did 33. What was your initial sentence?
Oh, my apologies, brother. I was sentenced to 26 years to life.
Okay, 26 to life. And through that journey, like you said, when you come in, I'm sure you're fresh in there. You got to deal with those prison politics and all that. So it's not like you come right in there and figure it out. It takes some time.
Right,
You know what I mean? And it took a
right.
while. Um, how long was
Yeah.
that process? I know you spoke briefly about it, figuring it out and seeing the youngsters and all that. But for you, how long was that process before you started, okay, to change mentally?
Well, I stayed 26 years on level 4. Um, and it had nothing to do. I didn't mean to come across like I was blaming it on the youngsters. That was not the situation. I
Right,
wallowed in my own ignorance and my own stupidity, you know, for bad choice of words. But I wallowed in that for a long time, trying to remain true to the code. But then when I found out really that it was very few that was really remaining true to the code, and we were just sacrificing ourselves on the regular.
right, right.
So as my thinking began to change, you know, I ran into this guy named Warren Colbert. And I remember this cat from when I was growing up. You know, he was on drugs and he was doing this thing. But then I saw this brother, man, and he was up there doing this thing. And fortunately for me, he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. So I was
Right,
able to step out of that role for a minute, man, and took to these groups, and I started to learn a whole lot because it made sense to me, because the things that I read in the pages were all about me. So I stood back and I had to take a look at myself, and what I saw, man, it wasn't really even promising to myself, because I really couldn't understand. At that time, I was about 48 years old, and I went in at 23.
mm,
I really couldn't understand what was my goal and what was I set to accomplish by living the life that I was living.
right,
And I came to a realization that when I was young, I always said that I was banging for the cause. You know, I was doing this for the cause. But what I realized as I read these books and started to educate myself, that for every cause, there's a plan and a goal to be achieved for the cause.
right.
And yet today, I still don't know what our plan and our goal was to be achieved in this street soldier lifestyle.
Mm. Wow, wow. Hey, hey, let me ask you this, James. Throughout that journey, I'm sure you've seen a lot of because you were there for a long time. You started seeing all these youngsters and people coming in throughout the years, and people probably were the same as you when they came in and banged out, and now they got to come in there in a whole different level, because once you come into that prison system, it's a system and a structure and all these things that they realize is different from the streets. You know what I mean? You got to come together and do all these things, and um, seeing that, like you said yourself, realizing that a lot of this shit, man, the code that only very few really stick to that code. But what do you think, man? Because now you're out and you come out here, right? You come out after 33 years and you see what's going on in the streets. I don't want to say, like, sometimes we ask, was it worth it, or because of course you never want to say it wasn't worth it, because that means you did all this for nothing, right? And you stuck to the code. But what do you say at the end of the day, man? Like, because right now we see what's going on, especially with these youngsters, and they don't have none of that code that was going on back when you came up. None of that is really there, and they don't even really know what they banging for, their history or anything. And now it seems that it is kind of frivolous. What do you think now that you come home, see what's going on?
Well, brother, I still look at it from a standpoint, brother, is that, you know, I was one of those youngsters in myself. And I was striving for the same thing that some of them were striving for. But unfortunately, when they came along in the game, that the line had already been broke. So it's hard
Right.
for them to understand something that they never seen. You know, it's like trying to ask them about a silverback gorilla in this day and age. They've never seen one, so they really can't tell you what it's about. And this is what
Right.
it is about this unity and this banging. They never seen it any purer than what they see it today, and they believe what they seeing is real. And I don't knock them for that. But
Right.
what I do not understand about it is that, brother, at some point we have to realize that the hill we climbing up is too steep for us to run up.
Oh,
That
please.
we have to be able to stay where we are and deal with each other on a different path and a different note to be able to grow and become something else. Because I do understand that young soldiers, they want war. They don't want peace. See, only an old soldier wants peace because he's been to war.
Right.
But the young soldier, he hasn't been to war. So he
Right.
wants that. But at the
Right.
same time, I try to get them to realize that, brother, what you don't see is that it's an economical war going on around you every single day, and we're not included in it.
Right.
Why?
Preach.
Why? Because we're the only race of people that don't practice group economics. And I'm not saying that to talk down on my people because I love them, even though I come from that lifestyle of being willing to harm them.
Right. Whoa, you said some shit right then, man. And I think that's where we got to start because people got to realize, like you said, the young homies, even though it's gonna be hard, because if you banging and in that mindset, you don't see anything but the set. You know what I mean? Agreed. But what you're trying to what you're finding out is, like you say, it's bigger than that because it's an economic system. It ain't about the set because we don't own the set, right? And then at the same time, people are being pushed out the set. Most sets ain't even in the set no more, right?
Well, yes, sir.
I'm sure you've come home and seen that as well. That most of the neighborhoods you came up and banged in and or ready to die for, you ain't even there no more. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
sir.
So like you said, it becomes economically where we got to figure that part out, and no one is really trying to figure that part out, and people are
Right.
still each other off and not getting that part to where that's the part people got to wise up and see. You know what I mean?
Yes,
And
sir.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm saying it right because it's so much I want to say, and I talk about these things with other people a lot, but that's the part it seems that people still don't get.
Brother, what you're saying, brother, is right on point. And like I said, I don't mean to make it sound like everything that's happening today is on the youngsters because it's not. Because
Right,
what they're doing is only was something that was handed down to them. They're just doing it their way. And unfortunately, it's not working. And it didn't really work for us that came up in the early 80s.
right.
I jumped off the porch back 79 and 80. And
Okay,
every generation had something different. Even then we had a little bit of trust and a little bit of loyalty. But now you look, they have more money, more opportunities than we had. So I believe they're right wing, left wing.
right.
But but like you said, some of these sets are not even in their own neighborhoods. And
Yeah,
that's by force, not by choice.
right,
But unfortunately, man, that we still see fit that it's very important that I kill another guy by where he lives or who he chooses to hang around with. And that there is the downside of it all. Because I know this here today for me and for me only. The guys that I proclaim to be my biggest enemy were never my enemies.
right,
I inherited them when I joined the set. And by
right,
far, if anything, they were only rivals.
right,
And as I look back now, I can't even really tell you today why I would get on my bicycle and ride to the other side of town and try to murder someone for a concept.
right,
It's very embarrassing and it's very shameful. But when I met my young brother Blink on the yard, I was in maybe a few years of my transition and my recovery. And I saw that the young brother was hungry for the knowledge. So what I did, I took him with me on the journey.
right,
You know, I didn't know it all. I still don't know it all. But what I did know, I was willing to share with the brothers like him and Tim, and they was too able to absorb it and taught me a lot of things along the way, which I handed down to some of my young comrades that were able to embrace that same change. And I'm hoping that they take it to the block with them, man, and spare somebody's life, man, over something that really is not going to end up or hold up at the end of the day.
Hey, and one more thing I want to speak on, then I'm going to bring Tim in. I don't know where Blink is.
He right here. He gonna use this line right here when you want to talk to him.
That's probably better. Thank you, James. That'll probably work better. But I wanted to ask you another thing too. Like you said, once you realize you get inside, and unfortunately, that's what it takes for a lot of brothers to get into the system when they go to prison and all that, to realize a lot of the ignorance. You know what I mean? Because you realize a homie that's supposed to be your so-called enemy is a good brother, and a lot of times, like you said, you got enemies pride on and ready to kill that you don't even know. You just doing it in the name of the set. You don't even know these people really like that.
Right.
And once you begin to know them like you do once you get in prison and gotta be together, as these are some good brothers. You know what I mean? And
Yes,
good
sir.
people. Some of your best friends become people that's supposed to be enemies, right?
Yes, sir. And I say this, Big Lou, after I've been in prison so long, brother, it took me some time to sit down and have a lot of self-reflection. And what I learned, man, that was very pivotal in my life was that I I meant so little to the people that I meant so much to, that meant so much to me.
Man.
And it's a
Say
hurting feeling. It's
say that
one that you
again.
never
Say that again.
it's a hard thing, man. It's a hard thing to swallow when you realize that you mean so little to the people that mean so much to you. It's very hard to swallow that. You sit in those jail cells, man, for putting it down for the set or whatever your case may be. But at the end of the day, man, when you stop fooling yourself and all the lies run out, you realize that, man.
Yeah.
You realize that you mean so little to the people that meant so much to you. And it's not a good feeling.
That's deep.
It-
That's deep. Ooh, that's deep. That's deep. That's deep. Man. Let me ask you this one more thing before we go back to Blink. Then I want to bring Tim in. Doing 33 years. Initially you said 25. Did you I don't know, like I said, I know through your journey you started figuring it out and getting your mind right. But did you ever think first you would do 33, or did you see the light at the end of the tunnel is what I want to say? Like, did you say, man, I'm gonna come home one day and I don't know, or did you ever think you would see this day where you're out right now, 4 days fresh out?
Well, and initially in my first thought of my journey, when no life was going home, so I didn't see how. All I saw was, man, it may sound cliche, but it's true to the term, man. I was just striving hard to go hard and not go home, But
Right.
at the end of the day, something started to click and things started to change, man, within the system. Some good, some bad. But deep in my soul, brother, I never claimed that I was going to stay in here for the rest of my life. I never claimed that. I just never claimed it, into a point where the prison system didn't get me right. The prison system didn't change anything about me. It just took for me to sit in the prison system, for me to take notice that I had to change some things about me if I wanted to be better in this world for myself.
Right.
It just took for the prison system to wake that up in me. Because at some point I had to realize that I've done a whole lot for the set, but I ain't never done nothing for me.
Come on now.
I ain't
But
never
what
done
has
nothing for me.
me? What
You
has the
know,
set for me?
well, the set
That's
meant everything to me. I'm gonna keep it real. When I
no,
was young, man, the set
I'm
meant
saying, but
everything to me.
what has the set done for you? I was just repeating what you said. You've done everything for the set, but what has the set done for you?
Nothing. The set has done anything, man, but gave me many sleepless nights and lots of regret. And that's not an individual's accolade. That's something that I brought upon myself. I can't put that on anyone else's shoulders because I made a conscious decision. Even though I was young, and it's a role reversal today. And I like to say in some of my groups, see, back then I was a kid and I was making grown people decisions. I
Right.
was making grown people decisions. But now I'm grown and I don't even want to make a kid's decision. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So I had to step out of my comfort zone. I had to step out of that, man. And for once, I had to do something for me. I moved away from that group thinking and start more independent thinking. And I started to see some changes in my life. I started to see that, brother. And it kind of felt good. Same like that pat on the back when you go over and you lay something down and you come back and the big homies waiting on you with big smiles. But it was a role reversal. This was something I did for me to expand me. And it felt good, brother. So I continued with that. And for the ones on the outside that knew who the way I pushed back then, they applauded that. To my assumption that they were looking for that same change. They just hadn't found that, I don't want to use the word courage, but they hadn't found that reason or that motivation to move them in another direction.
Right. Hey, James, let me ask you one more thing before we go back to Blink. What is the 33 years? I mean, that you've been in prison longer than a lot of people been alive, brother. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you've seen it with all these young and the change that's happened since you come out. But what can you tell the people is the thing the most that like doing 33 years, I'm sure, man, you've lost a lot of family, you lost friends. Set aside from the set, you know what I mean, family members and stuff you lost. I don't know if you had kids, but 33 years is a lot of time lost. What is the most important thing or the most thing you could say that you come out and you say, damn, man, you know what I mean? Because you're out now, 4 days, you're fresh. I want to ask you too, what's the thing that you regret the most or that you say you missed out on the most, and the thing that when you come home that you've seen that's the most change that you see when you come out of here? Because you've been gone a long time.
Well, the most thing I regret, man, is losing so many years with my mother. I regret that. The thing that I've seen that has changed the most, man, is that the same people that we claim that we there for and we banging for, we have little respect for. I'm not very familiar with the internet and how to navigate it, but every time I turn it on, it's like the enemy ain't the enemy no more. The homies is the enemy.
The homies, I ain't even want to get into that because Blink told me don't touch on that, but I'm sure you see what's going on this internet, and it's a damn shame, bro. It's a damn shame.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's the biggest change for me, man. That, you know, I never grew up in a time, man, where we talk down on the homie when someone else mentions them, you know. But now it's a common thing, you know, and I don't know what it is, don't know when it started, but it's such a bad and decaying habit. It's very decaying because you can see it now when you turn on your TV. It's rotting from within. This ain't rotting from the outside. This haven't been contaminated, sprayed with any pesticides or anything. This is rotting from the inside.
Wow. Brother James, man, thank you. Hey, James, you're fresh out. Before we move on, we're going to bring you back in the end, but let the people, what do you want to leave with the people? Is anything you're doing right now, anything you want the people to know, or you want anyone to tap in with you, anything you want the people out there to know before we move forward, bro?
Well, the main thing, like I say, brother, I'm fresh out, man. Shit, I don't even know how to work the cell phone or email, so I really can't have anybody tap in with me. But I would just say, man, if I can lead the brothers with anything on any page, man, the best thing I can say is, man, take the time out sometime and just listen to those that you may feel you want to harm. Just take the time out for a minute and listen to them and understand where they're coming from, man. We might find some common ground, man, that might save a whole bunch of us and our families a lot of pain and emotional suffering. Because in the end, no doubt about it, 100%, it ain't gonna be worth it. After 30 years, 40 years of sitting in the joint, you're gonna lose sight of what the real problem was anyway. Because this ain't gonna matter no more, because this gonna be all about you. Because this time gonna be on you, and ain't nobody but one person on your ID, you.
Facts.
You know, so the homies ain't gonna be there, the family ain't gonna be there. You gonna have to deal with this monster.
Come on now.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Yes,
and
sir.
one more
So,
thing. What's
yes,
your
sir.
plans now that you are out? Do you have any plans that you want to do? Anything,
Yes, sir.
send it
I'm trying to,
to the people?
man, like I say, man, I'm just trying to get in where I fit in, man. If anybody out there got space for me to try to habilitate the brothers out there, because I don't believe we can be rehabilitated, because that means that we're going back to the way we were. Uh, there's no rehabilitation for me. Today, I'm being habilitated. So if there's any platform or anybody that I could tap in with, man, I'm here, man, and I'm down to do the work. And maybe we can save some lives if we can't save the time.
Definitely. Well said. And I'm gonna tap back in with you, James. I'm gonna
Right.
get everything,
And
and
I appreciate you. I
we're gonna do
appreciate you, Conrad, for even giving me a moment to even express myself and the things that are on my mind. And as I said before, I want to leave with this note. Nothing I said was targeted towards anyone like the younger homies and all that. This is not their problem. This is something that they inherited. And I don't want them to feel that, I was making it seem like this is their fault, which it isn't. This is something that they inherit, that we handed down to them. And they kind of let go of the steering wheel and it went a different way. But it is what it is. But we got to fix it. The system can't fix it. The police can't fix it. We got to fix it because we the one that broke it.
that part.
Okay,
Brother,
Conrad.
Brother
Much
James,
love. Yes,
thank you,
sir.
man. That was a great segment. Thank you, bro.
All right, here go Brother Blink.
All right. We got Blink back. We got Brother
Yeah,
Blink.
hey, that was
Blink.
like,
We got that was
yeah,
powerful.
that was red. I was listening to everything, and it was very impactful and very strong. And the frequency level hit my core in a way to where I'm like, damn, this here might turn into something real beautiful. Because when you speak of the youngsters, right?
Right.
I just got to do this, but don't trip. This is right. When you speak of the youngsters, right? It's like he said, it's not their fault. What we must understand is this right here. When we was growing up, we didn't listen to our older homies. And
Right.
when you're in an environment, you can't throw something at somebody that you didn't even want them to throw at you when you was young. So it's a culture switch and a culture change that we as elders must understand, to where you can't yell at somebody to get them to understand the point that they ain't even recognized. So it becomes a situation to where we come from two different cultures and two different situations. We can't bring our upbringing into the culture today and expect this culture right here to understand the values, the morals, the principles of what our parents taught us regarding the values and the morals of this culture today. Because there's no one that's rude, there's no one that's distorted, there's no one with a character defects. Them is only entities that we bring in that's normalized, just like we normalize violence, just like we normalize the gang environment, just like we normalize the volume of the lifestyles. These are things that's taught to us. So these young brothers out here today is only doing what it is that they are taught. Because you got to ask yourself this here. What role do we play up in this whole situation? And the role that we play up in this is that we're always blaming them for their fuck ups, and we don't blame us for the distorted thinking and the distorted behavior that we put in their lane for them to accept. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I
Mhm.
agree. I agree, Blink. I agree. Hey, and before I want to bring in the homie brother Timothy, man. He's waiting in the wings. But before we do that, I want to speak briefly. Um, you got a big homie on death row right now,
Yeah.
still kind of came into the same. I don't want to go back. It's up to you if you want to speak on it, but I know you guys kind of
Mhm.
came into with the same case and same thing
Mhm.
when you touched down, and the homie is on death row. Well, he's not on
Mhm.
death row anymore. You know what I mean? I guess the laws have changed. He's not on death row. But can you speak on that briefly about the big homie, man?
Well, first of all, he is on death row. He's still
Okay.
considered as a death row confined inmate. He's just housed in the California Department of Correction facility. So the title of him being a condemned inmate is still valid. But back in 1984, he was wrongly convicted for 6 counts of murder and 6 counts of attempted murder. However, he's been incarcerated for way over 40 years. And my question is this right here: for a person that's wrongly convicted, how long is redemption? Because the whole bottom of CDCR, that R is about rehabilitation. And if a person is wrongly convicted, where do we go forward to get this man that everybody forgot about the appropriate counseling, the appropriate judge, the appropriate situation to where that his case could be heard one day inside the penal system? It's almost as if that um, he was given an order to show cause. And what an order to show cause is to review the evidence all over again. And one of the evidence that he was actually granted was prosecution misconduct. However, when they granted the order to show cause, they switched judges on it. And in the process of switching judges on it, a new judge came in. So being that the new judge was never familiar with the case from the word say go, I guess the judge felt that um, he didn't have enough evidence to get the case overturned.
Right. Okay, so right now, where does the case stand with the big homie Keith Fudge? That's the big homie. I don't like again, I'm gonna let you speak. I don't want to be saying too much and all
Well,
that.
I'm not gonna speak too much on it because I'm not. I just got out and I'm really not familiar with the formalities of what the case is. But however, he's still on appeal and things is still looking good. But the bottom line is that he has to get some type of representation to where that his name get out there, because like Brother James was talking about, one thing about the prison system: once you're trapped inside the prison system, you're trapped. There's no escape. There's no getting out. And it's only you and the people that's around you. So if there's no one there to help you out, to understand what it is that you need to get done, how can you get anything done? Because
Right.
if you on one side of the fence and he's on the other side of the fence, who is it that he can talk to? And then when you on death row, you're only getting yard something like 23 hours out of a day. So if you receiving yard 23 hours out of the day, how do you get that opportunity to be heard?
Right.
So by me being out, I am the voice that's going to make sure that the people hear that this man has been wrongly convicted for over 40 years. So when does redemption becomes a situation to where he's no longer in the penal system for a crime that he didn't even commit? So now it becomes a situation to where that this this healing never allowed the band-aid to heal, because now the people that did it is still out there. And now that he's still in here, it becomes a situation: where is justice? Where is the actual part where guilty until proven innocent, or innocent until proven guilty? You know what I'm saying? So man, it's just a hot mess. And I don't really want to go too much into that brother's situation. But the one thing I do want to do, I do want to share light on it, not only with him, but the majority of brothers that's up in there that's wrongly convicted, and brothers that's into going to the board of parole here, to where that they may don't have the type of education to explain their shortcomings, to explain their character defects, to where they can allow the board of parole here to understand that, hey man, when I was young, I made a mistake. The mistake that I made was with my thinking. But now that I allowed myself to get out of my way and change my thinking and change my character defects, I can tell you what happened to me. I can let you know that I stand on spiritual principles: kindness, mindness, loving, and empathy, and empathetic for others, maladaptive behavior. When I seen a person run down the street and he's not on the same page I'm on, I can have empathy and be empathetic for his destructive behavior, because I understand it's not his fault, it's his thinking. So if your thinking is distorted and your behavior is erratic, and it allows you to cross boundaries and violate other people's property and space, how can you ever come to terms to let society know that I'm no longer that person if your voice is taken away from you?
Mm. Blink, you cooking right now, Blink, as they say. You cooking, homie. Hey, let me ask you this about the homie, the big homie Keith, right? I know you speak to him. I used to be in touch with him a lot because he used to have an online presence, but I don't see him anymore, which is probably good. You know what I mean? But How was the homie doing, and is he in good spirits? How is he holding up right now?
Well, the beautiful thing is this here. Even though he's labeled as a death row inmate, he's no longer on death row. So he's a part of the penal system. And the one thing that I can say that's I will give my flowers to is that them groups that the penal system do allow you to go and be a participant of, to be up in there to tell your truth, to understand the things you go. And then not only that, man, to go through the layers and layers of hurt and pain that we suffer from, that we didn't even know we suffer from due to the conditions of our environment. Because speaking for myself and my own perspective, you know what I'm saying? I didn't even know that I had the hurt and pain inside of me. But the one thing that I did understand is that once I allowed myself to disconnect with God, that's when I allowed myself to search for external energy and external power. And what comes with that is nothing but violence and destruction. But like Brother James was saying, when I interact back with him and I interact with Tim, who we about to bring up next, because Tim was the one that gave me my first book, how to allow yourself to understand positive thinking. And once I read that book, I understood that where I went wrong, the disconnection of God. And I say that to say this right here. With Keith, he's going through the same platform and the same formality that we went through when we was up in there, growing up in them groups, because it helps to talk out the pain. It helps to cry the pain out, because one thing that we was taught growing up, men don't cry. Men don't cry. Men are sissies if they cry.
Come
And
on.
now you have to reshape that thinking of men don't cry, men's are sissies, to now understanding that men is supposed to cry, men supposed to be vulnerable, men supposed to express the tears, because when you express tears, that's hurt, that's pain, that's generational trauma that you got to release to allow yourself to be free. And he's
Yeah, we lost Blink. Oh, there you go. There you go. We lost you for a second. There you go. Hey, Blink. I want to say this too. While you're frozen, I don't know, but sometimes I say the same thing, man. Brothers, we got to be able to, and sometimes it'll just come out. You with that time when you do finally shed a tear, they may just come out and pour for a minute, even if it's only briefly, maybe a few minutes, and you just it all comes out, and you don't even know why. It's because you've been holding that shit in. Because, like they said, it's not we're meant not to cry. We're not supposed to cry. But when that shit comes out, it pours, right? Even if it's by yourself, it pours for a minute, and you got to let that shit out. You know what I mean? You got to let it out, because that's built in frustration, hurt, pain, all that shit, and we're taught not to cry. So sometimes, man, it's okay to let it out sometimes, man, because like you said, we were taught to hold as dudes, you know what I mean, coming up, you know what I mean, gang members, or supposed to be just real men. We're taught not to show vulnerability. You know what I mean? So sometimes you got to let that shit out. And when it comes out, it feels good. You know what I mean? Just let it out. You know what I mean? It's okay. So I agree with that, Blink.
You know, I want to share this with you right quick. When I had got out, JB had picked me up, and we went in Beverly Hills and went and had lunch and stuff. And then the most beautiful thing that he had did, he allowed me to share lunch with him and his mother. So as
Right.
we was at the table, she had asked me, she said, "Well, I've been waiting a long time to talk to you." And when she spoke to me and I looked in her face, man, and the only thing I could see was my mother in her face. And I just started crying, man. And the thing of me sharing this was that my emotions was all over the place, because the things that I couldn't share with my mother, I looked in his mother's face, and it was almost as if I was looking at my mother. And I became so vulnerable to where I had to express this hurt that I didn't even know that I was carrying with me. But the one thing that I did know is that God had put me in the presence of her to understand not just who I was, but why I was feeling the way that I was feeling. And it came from my experience, because I wasn't one that grew up in the church or read the Bibles. But the one thing that I did understand, I knew I lost my connection from God. And when I reconnected back with God, I learned how to get out of my own way. And when I learned how to get out of my own way, I became a better citizen to myself,
to humanity with humility. And that's the one thing that we missing in society right now. We are missing humility with humanity to where we don't even allow ourselves to smile within, to smile outwards, to embrace our peoples to where they feel more comfortable to say, how you doing, brother? How you doing, sister? We hold that hurt in so much because our women been hurt, our women been dogged, our women been having so many kids to where the brothers ain't even stepping up to help them out. And how do they allow their voice to be heard when they suffering so much and they don't even know how to speak out? So
Mm.
it's a situation to where he's going to school and he's understanding all the things that we talking about right now, because when you're on death row, you sitting down on a bunch of pain that you can't express. Now that
Mm.
he's able to walk around, he can express that pain and let that pain out and become vulnerable with humility to embrace humanity.
Mm. Boy, you preaching right now, Blink. Come on now, man. Hey, Blink. Okay, hold on. Let's hold up, man, because this shit is getting too deep. Shout out to everyone who just joined us in the chat. Amanda, Lena Lokes, the homie Jose Gambino, um, the homie Change Man for Life. He said, as a lifer, all the groups and programs I did allowed me to be the best real me, not the facade that I developed for myself as a gang member and a drug addict. Shout out to you, Change Man for Life. Much love and respect. Let's do this, Blink, because I know the homie been waiting for a minute.
Yeah,
And
on the real.
my apologies, Big Tim. My apologies, bro. This shit has just been so deep. We got to bring it all out. You know what I mean? My boy Blink has just came home. I'm happy for my boy. We talked about this shit for years and years. The homie is home now. I love you, Blink, and I'm glad you home. Shout out to the homie James. He's home too. 4 days fresh out. And we got the homie Tim. Hey, introduce the homie Tim, who we about to bring in next, Blink.
Well, most definitely, I love to do this right here because this young brother right here, along with brother James, this brother Timothy, he was my next door neighbor for 7 years. And when I was preparing myself for the board of parole here, this brother stood up at his door for hours and allowed his time to be my time to make sure that I understand what it is to build a sense of community with my thinking. Hear me out. A sense of community with my thinking to be able to express myself to a panel that I know nothing of educated college people that look upon us to where what do he have to say today or lie about? And when this brother gave me my first book on positive thinking, it opened up my vessel to allow my soul to connect with my personality, to allow my heart to be righteous. And with that being said, I'm going to bring in my guy, Mr. Timothy Winfield.
Timothy Whitfield. What up, my brother?
Yeah, what's happening, man? How you feeling?
Good. I'm sorry, man. It's been a delay, bro. We just had a lot going on, and
Man,
it's a
hey,
lot.
look, I'm here. I'm here, man. These my people, so
Okay.
I'm here. It's all
Okay.
good.
Well, go ahead, Tim. I know Blink introduced you. We talked about you, but introduce yourself to the people. You can do it better than we can, man.
Yeah, I'm Timothy Whitfield, man. That's the person I like to be today.
Okay.
I was Tim Dog at one point.
Big Tim Dog.
Yeah, but we ain't him no more.
Okay.
We're gonna do Timothy Whitfield and then Tim because I done been out here for like 18 months now. After
Okay.
doing like 25 years. I didn't do as long as my man's name did, but I
25 years
did
is a long
25.
time, Tim. Tim, and you
Yeah,
only been home
that's a
18
long
months.
time, man.
Hey, hey, hey,
18
hey,
months.
Tim, hold on before you continue. People listening in, we got people in here that done a lot of time. Blink done 38. James did
Yeah,
33. Big Tim
yeah,
Dog did 25, and he's been only been home
25.
18 months. Now tell me,
Mhm.
Tim. So 25, that means shit. We in 2025, so you've been going since probably 99, 2000. What?
January 7th, January 7th of 1999.
Wow. So tell me
Yes,
first, before we get into your story, what's the biggest change you've seen since you've come home 25 years later? It's 2025, man. We in the Jetson era and all that. What's the biggest change that you've seen, bro?
the biggest change I've seen is the mentality of the individuals that's out here. The mentality of them. You have And I don't know where it went wrong because I don't. I mean, I know where I went wrong.
Right.
It was the way I chose to think because there was nothing nobody else did. It was nothing my big homies did because a lot of them people I never looked up to in the first place.
Right.
So I think it's the mentality of the individuals, and I can't, I'm not gonna tell you what happened because I don't know what happened, but I know what happened to me.
Right.
I chose to think, invest, and apply myself to something that wasn't for me. It was for somebody, but it wasn't for me.
Right.
But and then I'm not gonna tell you that the time that I did was for nothing because look who I met. I met Blink, I met Snoop or Brother James. I met and there's other individuals that I met too. James Jackson, Michael Mitchell, you know, all these different type of people that I built these bonds with over the years from walking around in circles on these yards.
Right.
Now, a majority of these people didn't deserve to be on them yards. And the reason I say that is because if I'm born into an environment where I have to learn to adapt because that's the world. No matter what stage of life you're in, you could be in the suburbs, you can be in the ghetto, whichever one you're in, right? You
Right.
need to learn how to adapt to that, or else you
Fact,
ain't gonna make it.
facts.
So if I'm born into a ghetto, or if I'm born into a hood, and we learn early. You take a parenting class with CDC, it will give you that. They'll whatever type of class you need, they're gonna give it to you. And if you take a parenting class, they'll teach you, right, that from the time a child is born into this world, the first thing they learn how to do is manipulate because they have needs. And
Mm.
then if you're the parent, you're the person who supply those needs. So if I'm hungry, I don't know how to tell you I'm hungry if I'm a newborn. So what I do, I cry. I make noise. So what do we do in the ghetto? We
Make
make
no
noise.
make
We make
noise.
noise.
He said
We
some
make
real shit.
noise.
Boy, you
I need
said
you to
we
hear me.
man,
I need you
speak.
to hear me. I
Go
need
ahead,
you to
bro.
hear me. I need you to hear me because I got too many needs and nobody is listening to me. My parents ain't listening to me. The people at the school ain't listening to me. The police ain't listening to me. Ain't nobody listening to me. So what I do? You hear
Make
me
no
now. You
right.
hear me now. But here go the thing when you start to grow and develop, you learn that these people that you're using to make this noise, that's somebody's son, that's somebody's dad, that's somebody's uncle, that's somebody's brother. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so when you go sit down for I'm gonna use the term a minute because that's what we like to use, like because you've been to prison before, so you know, like when we talk, you can have 20 years, but a person gonna minimize that.
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you something about that shit right there. Everything we do is nothing. Do you remember the term people used to? Oh, that's nothing.
Right.
Oh, this ain't nothing. You pull up in the car that some people they trying to figure out how the hell you got it, and you telling him, "Oh man, that ain't nothing."
Ain't nothing.
Those are habits that we make because we don't know how to value things. We don't know how to value life. We don't know how to value other people. We don't know how to value our family. We don't know how to value our kids. Right now, I'm sitting at my daughter's house. When I went to prison, she was 2. And that was the second time I went to prison. She was
Wow.
2, but now I get out, she a grown woman.
Right.
And now I'm sitting at her house.
Right.
You, I mean, so, I mean, it's a lot I want to say, It's a lot I need to say, but I'm gonna keep it to where you got your situation because if not, we'll be on here all night, man.
You said a whole lot. You said a whole lot
Yeah,
by saying a whole little, and you summed it up
yeah,
by like let me say this. You summed it up even by saying your daughter was 2 years old when you went to
yeah.
prison, and now you're sitting in her house. So
I'm sitting in
I
her
want to
house.
say this.
Yeah,
I want to say this. Congratulations to you, and your
thank you,
daughter,
man.
because obviously your daughter, you know what I mean, made something of herself, and she's someone you could be proud of. That you're sitting in her house right now. You know what I mean.
Yeah,
So, congratulations to that. But let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Tim. What I asked Blink and I asked James. Out of those 25 years, what is your regrets and what are your like pros and cons? Because when you do 25 years, bro, that's a lot of time. Sometimes it don't seem that way for people who's out here because we say it's 2025, 20 years, 25 years went by. But for you, that's a lot of time where you lose not only time, you lose family, you lose
yeah,
time, like you said, with your daughter who was 2 years old. Now she's
yeah.
a grown woman. You know what I mean? And you lose time with your so-called homies. All of these things. What do you see? Uh, Pros and cons of that time. That now that you're here, you've been home a couple years, and you've seen a lot of the change.
I'm gonna say the pros of all that is as like like a lot of people say like prison is a university, right? It's a college.
Right,
You go there and you learn these like how a person go and he study how to become a doctor. He can do brain surgery and shit like that, right?
right,
But you go to prison, you can learn you. You can learn you if you don't run from you.
right.
Because sometimes people have a tendency to run from themselves because they don't like what they see. But so the pro is I was able to learn. I was able to learn me. I was able to understand why I became the person I became when I chose to become Tim Dog. Is because I didn't like who Timothy was. Timothy was a person that loved and cared about other individuals, and he wanted to see them do well. But because of the environment that I grew up in, that would classify you as soft, or it would label you as a victim, right?
Right,
But so I became Tim Dog because you're not gonna get away with that shit with Tim Dog.
right,
Tim Dog gonna knock you in your head and put a
right,
hole in you and get you
right,
out the way. And then whatever I gotta do with going to juvenile hall, camp, YA, or whatever that is, we're gonna go there and then we're gonna do it again to let some other people know that I'm not the one for you to be doing that to.
right,
So the pro is I was able to learn me and be able to become comfortable with me, Timothy, not Tim Dog. The con is that this man, Richard Gooden, didn't deserve nothing that I did to him.
Let me just
His
knock this.
family don't know me. They ain't never did nothing to me to deserve me taking away somebody that's important to them. And so that's something that even to this day, like I've been out here, like we can consider it a while, 18 months. Just for the sake of argument, right?
right,
We can consider it a while. And then I done been out here for Christmas. I done been out here for Thanksgivings. I done been out here for New Year's. And speaking of that, the the day I killed this man was on it was on New Year's Eve. It was at 11:55, right before the whole New Year started.
right,
So that's the kind. It's like every I'm around my people because they have me back now. So I'm around them, and it's like they happy, everything cool. But in my mind, I know that damn, this man family, they probably ain't doing what we doing right here. They ain't feeling what we feeling. You see what I'm
right,
saying? So and even in that, there's a pro in that because it gives you a whole nother value because like Brother James was saying, and Blink was saying, and like I will tell you to this day, man, the youngsters, I mean, they are who they are. We were who we were, because we were young, and there were older people that were looking at us like, look at these damn fools.
Right.
So, so even for them, so that because I know things, you know things, Blink know things, James know things that they don't know. So it would be easy for us to do things as far as what we used to take value in. It's like I did this to this nigga, I did that. It would be easy for that to happen, but at the same time, when you have this shit done taught me compassion, man. It done taught me to understand that this young man don't understand what he's doing because there's no way for him to know that because they done been trained to not listen to their elders
Right.
because and granted like there's a lot of different elements because the ones who were left out here when people like us went to prison they couldn't come around when we were out here but now that we gone and out the way they the head honchos and they've taken advantage and doing all these different things to these young brothers out here and so that breeds distrust but what I done learned is it's like it's like this is something that I learned and then I'm gonna let you ask me some questions because I'll be running my mouth all night if I don't. This is the thing that I learned. Reciprocity, man. It's the thing that they talk about in the Bible, and I ain't getting religious on nobody. I'm talking about reaping and sowing, giving and taking. You've been out here, so you know the whole world is predicated on taking.
Facts.
Nobody wants to give anything.
Facts. Facts.
But how can you get anything if you don't give nothing?
Facts.
If you don't plant a seed, you don't get a tree.
Hey, Tim.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I didn't ask James this. I didn't ask Blink. But when you have to live with that, and it's obviously something you live with because you spoke on it and you know what you were convicted and you accepted that, right? When you have to
Yeah.
live with the fact that, like you said, I don't want to say it in a way, but yeah, when you run alive someone, you have to live with that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And you've done your time. You're free. Your mind is free. How does someone deal with that, and how do you move forward? Like you said, accepting that once you get out of that mindset, because of course, early on. You go to prison, you still got to deal with your politics. You got to stand on that, and that's what it is. That's what
Yeah.
because that's the life I live. That's the life. Sometimes, unfortunately, the person's life you took, the life they live, and you know it's either him or me. You know what I mean? So you deal with
Yeah.
that angle. But once you mature and become the man you are now, say in 2025, how do you live with that and deal with that moving forward? Like how does one even, you know what I mean, deal with that reality?
Well, in the beginning, excuse me, when I went to prison, that was a badge of honor for
Right,
because I'm not from LA. I'm from Bakersfield, so
right,
coming in here, and then being a part of what I was a part of, you have to swing with people from LA because that's what that originated at.
right,
And then some people can't make it. A lot of people can't make it, even people that are from here.
right,
But in the beginning of this situation, I wore that as a badge of honor because this is my sacrifice. This is my contribution to my hood.
right,
But that man didn't sign up for that. So you learn as time go on. In the beginning, you start to realize that, yeah, man. You start going to these groups and you start watching these victim impact videos, and you start to see like how you can do something in 1998, but you can fast forward to 2025, and this. this person's family is still hurting as if it was 1998.
Right.
And, and then you sitting there looking, and then you looking at your mom because you go and get on the phone, you talking to your mom and the thing, and she loving it. Oh, I just went to this group and I just did this and I just learned that, and she's sitting there. I'm so proud of you, and she telling you all these things right here, right? But in the back of your mind, it's always ringing, dude. This dude can't talk to his mama,
Right.
but you have to sit with it. That's the only thing you can do. You have to sit with it, and you have to understand this. If you're not I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person though, and I understand this. Everything in this world is here for a reason. Everything that you go through in your life is for a reason. Now, if you choose, and this is what your life boils down to, choices. Now, if you choose, say like if I want to be rich, I want to be rich. I want to have $1 million. I want to have a Lamborghini. I want to have all this different shit, right? But I'm not doing none of the things to acquire
Right.
this want. Then I'm a person that's going to be living in this world that's going to be dissatisfied. So if I see you with it, now I'm mad at you. Now
Right.
I'm
Right.
thinking of ways and I'm plotting on you and I'm trying to get what you got.
Right. Right.
But if I'm the person that wants these things and I start mapping out in my mind, what's the first step to get this? And I start pushing myself in that direction, then of course, eventually I'm gonna make it to my goal. But you know, like I know, the world ain't built like that. There's a small percentage of people who understand that concept that if I want this, I can't come take it. I can't come sit and plot on you and take it from you. I have to go and get it myself because if I don't, then I'm gonna create this negative karma for myself. So if I do get it, then I lose it, and I'm put in a situation where I sit and think about
Right.
what I had at one time, but never thinking about you and that I took your life to get that from you. And then so you're going to continue to go through your life suffering and losing, and because like I lost my dad in prison. I 2013. His birthday was just May 19th. I mean March 19th.
Man. Condolences, bro.
Yeah. On the real, I
Condolences.
thank you, man.
Condolences.
On the real, I thank
Condolences, bro.
you. Yeah.
Um, Man, that see, and that's why I just want to ask you that. I didn't mean to get too much into it, but I want people to know like because a lot of times things like that, like you said, even when you first went in, it's glorified, and that's something you wear as a
Yeah.
badge of honor because that's what the streets
Yeah.
teach us. The hardest dude is looked up to, and that's what we think is good. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but we all have to grow, and we're not the same person we were 25 years ago. And if you're blessed
No.
to still be here 25 years later, you learn that you're not the same person, and you have to somehow mature mentally, spiritually, or however you do to continue to live and grow and be somebody in this life, unless you're going to perish. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to get that thought from you because people do still have to live. Like you said, you are living here. The person that you had that situation with is not. But how does one
Yeah.
that you still have to be here and live still and given another chance, not only to live, but to get out of prison and be free? How does that person think about these things and how do they live and how is their mentality? So I just wanted to get that from you so we can,
Yeah.
somehow get that out there for the people to see that there is a way to mature and get through these things and still, find a way to, live through it, because I know that ain't easy. You know what I mean? You have that somewhat burden because, like you say, you have family members who are affected by that and they are still here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is something we got to get out and just let the people know. So I'm glad we were able to speak on that, bro, and you were able to expound on that.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit more on that subject right there, right? Because some people think that if they don't do those things without addressing the issues that led you to become that person who was capable of doing those things,
Right.
then you good, right? Some people some people believe that, but the reason why the people in the parole board won't let you out if you don't address certain issues, and a lot of it is substance abuse. So they won't let you just ride out because you abstain from that
Right.
behavior, right? While
Right.
you're in prison, it's because if the thing that triggered you to do that type of act in the first place, if you haven't addressed it, you don't know what it is. And it's something that's real simple. Your memory, you can be in traffic. Like I'm in traffic all the time.
Right.
And somebody will swoop in front of my car and just squat right there. Just swoop and squat, and then you have to hit your brakes real hard. And in your mind, it's like I'm gonna follow him and get him up out that car, and I'm gonna show him why he shouldn't do me like that.
Right. Right.
But that thought it hit your mind. So if you haven't dealt with those issues,
You could easily slip back into
you're
that
gonna
mindset.
you're gonna
Do
you're
the
gonna,
same
you're
shit
gonna
again.
follow through with it. What's gonna
Yeah.
stop you?
Right.
What's
Right.
gonna stop you? Because you can get out here and you can get guns with clips this long, handguns with
Right.
clips, 30-round clips, man. And when I was young, growing up, we had 22s and 38s with duct tape on the handles, and
Right.
you know,
Right.
you like my age, so you know what I'm talking about.
Right. Right.
But nowadays,
They got
and
some
it's
shit.
everywhere,
They got
and
some shit
and it's
now.
and it's everywhere, and it's
Yeah. Yeah.
everywhere. It's not hard to get.
Yeah. Facts.
It's not hard to get. So if you haven't dealt with them issues and you allow your memory to guide what your actions is gonna be, because we all have this pride issue. Who this nigga think I am? You
Right.
can't get at me like that.
Right.
That self-talk. What led you to do what you did in the first place? And now I'm gonna say this though. A lot of people in prison, I ain't did nothing, man. I ain't did nothing but was raised and grew up in an environment like Ace. We was talking about Ace earlier,
Shout out to
and
Ace,
like
man.
how I missed James Jackson and
Yeah.
Michael Mitchell. Like how I mentioned them people. I ain't did nothing. It's just something that happened in the neighborhood that those people were the culprits to the
Right.
people who were investigating the case. But and then you don't have no say so on what happened when once they close the file, man, you done. That's
Right.
it. You go in there, they put you in there. I didn't have not one black person on my jury. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I didn't do nothing. I'm gonna
Right.
tell you the truth, but I'm saying as far as the system,
Right.
I ain't had no black people on my jury. So if we talking descriptions and we saying that, what did the person look like? Oh, he had short hair that was wavy, and then I'm sitting there with braids longer than yours
Right.
down here,
Right.
and we talking 6 months, and yeah, and you black just like me, ain't
Right. That
no way
months.
this
Right.
man done grew his hair that quick.
Right. That take years.
That take years.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
gonna take some African pride. That's gonna take some soap
Right. All
parade.
that
We're gonna
shit.
need some dog mane in that thing. We need
All
all that.
yeah. For sure. For
You
sure.
feel me? So
Yeah.
so it's I mean it's for these young people. I mean I understand. We all want shit quick. We
Yeah.
all want shit quick. I got out of prison. The next day I got out of prison, I went right to the DMV. I did the driver thing. I passed the written test. By the end of that week, I went and did the behind the wheel test, and I had my license. 2 weeks after that, I was only out 3 weeks. I went right to Harvard Chevrolet and bought a brand new car.
Wow.
But it's all, and I'm saying that not to brag and boast about what I
No, I,
did because
no, I get that.
once again, all this is on Richard Gooden
Right.
because I took his life and I went to prison and I like how James said, I rehabilitated myself.
Right.
because I how you rehabilitate yourself when you grow up in you come from where I come from. We grew up in these environments, man, where dude, there's two things you need to learn how to do. You need to learn how to fight, and you need to learn how to numb your emotions, man, to where you can knock a nigga off and excuse my language and go
Right.
do your time and come back and go right back to the same environment where you just did that at
Right.
and repeat the process. And you need to not feel nothing in order to get through that type of stuff.
Right.
So I'm not saying that I went and did all that to brag and boast about nothing because there's nothing to brag and boast about. But I'm saying that to say that for me and inside me to live my life in memory of this man, this person's life that I took, to make him his life worth something. I came and I done what I was supposed to do. And but here go the other thing I'm gonna tell you. You have to stay focused, man. Because if you forget that, you'll slip right back to that same stuff that you was doing before. And next thing you know, you behind the wheel, you drinking, or you got a gun in the car. Whatever you doing, you're gonna go back to that same stuff because, like I told you, person pull in front of you, squat. Now your mind tell you follow that nigga and show him, but you ain't the one to do that to.
Right.
Yeah,
Man. Big Tim, man. Man, this was a great segment right here. Testimony and man, I really appreciate you sharing your story with us, bro. Cause that right there was a lot, but this is what the people need to know and understand, about maturity, prosperity, and how to come out of a situation and make the best of it. And I respect a lot what you said. You came home, and a lot of times it's all about what you do. You could talk about it, but it's about what you do and how you set your mind to make things happen. Because you got to understand,
yeah,
like you said, just because you've been in prison 25 years, that don't mean you're gonna come out here and people owe you something and all that, because they don't.
yeah, no,
They not, you know what I mean? So you got to
yeah,
come out here with the mindset and want to do something, because you could easily just slip back into the bullshit mindset. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So for what you've done, bro, I applaud you, and I thank you, man, for coming out, man, and making a difference and making something of yourself and not letting those
Yeah.
25 years go in vain. You know what I mean? So
I gotta
you
say something in the midst of that too, because excuse me, I left Calipat and I was still screwed up in my thinking process and went to Wasco. That was my first level three
right,
after 19 years and 8 months. And then I left Wasco and went to Lancaster and met brother James here and Blink too. I met Blink too. That's why I gave Blink that book at. But I got the book when I was going to the class that brother James was he was a facilitator. I think that's what they call him. But I seen the book in there. He didn't give it to me, but I seen it in there, and that's where I got it from. But James told me he taught me a bunch of stuff behind that wall because I was still messed up with that gang shit, man. That shit was in me, and it
right,
had me wrapped up. But listening to him and the way he talked to me, he didn't talk to me. He talked to me. You understand what I'm saying?
right,
He talked to me like not the person that I was presenting myself to be or none of that stuff like that. He talked to me,
right.
and I heard him, and I ain't looked back. I ain't looked back since then.
That's a beautiful thing, bro. Beautiful
Yeah,
thing, man. I again thank you, Tim, man, for sharing somewhat of your story with us, man, and helping
hmm
us understand, man. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
yeah. And so last thing I'm gonna say,
Go
these are
ahead.
the people you gonna. These are the type of people, the people with the knowledge and this wisdom that you're gonna be dealing with when you're dealing with life with change. Blink on to something with that. He on to something with that, man. He gonna reach people. He gonna reach a lot of people with that.
For sure. Thank you, bro. We're gonna take it back to Blink and wrap this up because I know Blink already told me he was only supposed to be on here for an hour. I know we're well over that, but I'm
It's
sure we got
almost
a
two.
lot of things out tonight, man. So again,
Yeah,
thank you. Tim. I'll be tapping back in, bro.
all the time, man. Much love, bro.
All right. Shout out to the homie Tim. Blink, we back with you. I know we got to
Right,
wrap
on
it
the
up all over
on the real.
time. Let's
No.
wrap. Blink, go ahead, bro.
Well, no, it was all good. The thing was is that, man, we still got responsibilities and stuff, and still being a productive citizen. The first responsibility I got to do is stay firm with my chores, and I had a chore to do at 10 o'clock. But however, we got it done, and now we back on point, and we being responsible because that's the first thing you got to allow yourself to do to be a citizen is be responsible, because
Right,
that's what got us in prison last time by not being responsible on that
right,
part right there. So to end it, I listened to what everybody said, and then a lot of this right here, man. That for me, I must gotta give my blessings and my flowers to my man James too, man, because um, that brother played a tremendous man. When I say tremendous, a tremendous part, not just in my life, man, but in my thinking. And like Tim was saying, that he heard him. It wasn't that we heard him through our ears, we heard him through our soul. He
right,
tapped into our soul in a way to allow our vessel to open up through our thinking to see things different. Because what ends up happening is this right here, man. When we allow ourselves to put our glasses on, sometimes they become foggy. And when they become foggy, we become destructive. And when we become destructive, we hurt people. And hurt people. But now with that brother, what he did, he allowed us to trade in a different pair of glasses to where we could see clear. And once we was able to see clear, we was able to heal ourselves to heal others. And when you allow yourself to heal yourself, then you can allow yourself to understand the mindset of the young brothers today. Because for me, and I can only speak for me, I don't see them brothers as a nuisance. What I see them brothers is people that's trying to be heard. And when you're trying to be heard, like Tim said, you're going to do everything impossible to get attention to make sure somebody hear you, because you don't want nobody hollering at you. You don't want nobody screaming at you. So what do? You rebel. You become defiant. And when you allow yourself to listen, and this is the one thing that I want to say, when I was getting ready to go to the board, I did something different this time. I hung out with people way younger than me. I was hanging out with 21, 23, 24-year olds because knew I was on my way coming home. And by me hanging out with these young brothers, I was able to understand not just the perception and not just the behavior, but recognize what it is that these young brothers want. And the only thing that they wanted was to be heard and be listened to. Where a young dude told me this here. He said, man, OG, check this out, man. You're the only dude that I know that don't be trying to tell us what to do. You hear us and you give us advice. You don't tell us what to do. And when the brother said that right there, it clicked in my head to where society is not understanding is that we so angry and we so frustrated we don't hear the children, because the children is the future. And if the future is distorted, how can there ever be a future? And if that trauma is being passed down from generation to generation, when that generational trauma is going to ever stop? So I believe that at this point right here, through this session that we had tonight, we have to break that bridge, because it's about to be a gang of brothers getting out of prison. And these brothers that's getting out of prison, they getting out with a different mindset. And they ain't getting out with the mindset to take, rob, and steal and cross boundaries. They getting out with a mindset to understand how to be vulnerable and accept society for what it is, rather than taking from society from what it's not.
right. Well said, Blink. Well said. Well said. I just want to say, Blink. I want to thank you, man, for this opportunity. When we set out to do this, we didn't know what we were gonna do. We didn't know how it was gonna turn out. The people we were gonna touch, and none of that. But what I think we did do tonight, we broke we broke some ground tonight. We did a wonderful thing. I think the people heard us. And the people heard you. They heard Tim. They heard James. They heard JB, And this was a beautiful thing. And I think this is something we're going to continue because we did it on the radio show, but we're in 2025. We're on YouTube. We're touching more people, and I want to continue to build on this, Blink, and expound. And we know we talked about some things. I know some things you got in the works you're trying to do. So we're going to continue this, Blink, because we got to continue to reach the people. And like you said, continue to reach the youth, because that is what has affected the most, the youth. And that's why the youth is in such disarray now, because it was a big gap between, the generations, you know what I mean? And the youth didn't really have a way, they didn't have a voice, they didn't have anyone to teach them. So now this is what we have. So I'm glad we were able to do this. I want to build on this more, Blink, and we're gonna build and do some more great things, Blink. Anything? I know we got to wrap it up. What do you want to leave the people with, Blink, before we leave, bro?
Well, what I want to leave them with is this right here. I want y'all to be looking out for Life is a Change, because Life is a Change is about to break grounds and break barriers that nobody ever seen that can ever happen. Because the one thing that we must understand and we must get in front of is mass incarceration, as well as healing humanity through humility. Because if we don't embrace humility, how can we embrace humanity? And the only way to do that, man, we got to get connected back to God. That don't mean that you got to be a spiritual fanatic with religion. You have to stand on spiritual principles. You know, I was in the store the other day, and a situation happened, and the lady was just irate and going out of control. And I had told the lady, I said, you know what, ma'am? The one thing I don't understand in this world today, people don't smile. When you smile, smile bring about character. Character bring about understanding. Understanding bring a foundation of a peaceful world. So if we can't have peace, how can we make America great again?
Mm. Wow. Yes, sir. Well said, Blink. Well said, Blink. Well said. People, Blink, hey, Blink, I know you're not quite ready, but do you want to leave the people? I know you're working on some programs, your nonprofits, and you're doing some things with JB. Shout out to my brother JB, still in the chat, in the backstage. What right now can the people tap in with you with, or what do you want them to do as far as right now to assist on what you got going on, bro?
Well, well, right now, what Life is for Change is moving towards, we starting the free Keith Fudge campaign. And you could go to lifersforchange.com, and there will be some things on our website. The website is already set up. And we just ask for you brothers, man, to stay behind Keith Fudge, man, because this brother been in prison for over 40 years for a crime that he didn't commit way back in 1984. And this don't even make no sense how the judicial system is prolonging this to where, as well as the Mendez brothers, you know what I'm saying? How can you allow two situations with two different entities to go in two separate platforms? So therefore, one platform have to be a solid platform and the other one just got to be a platform. So which one do we pick and choose from?
Excuse me. Okay. Got it. Got it. Got it
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Uh,
So which one do we pick and choose from? Do we pick and choose from the wrongly convicted, or do we pick and choose from the things that was objectively done? Which one do we choose from? Subjectively or objectively?
There it is. And Blink, where can they follow this? Where can they tap in with this?
Well, on liferisforchange.com. It's on Instagram.
Okay.
And we will be having our own website coming up real soon, because you got to realize that JB been working on this for a minute, but being that he has his own business, and now that I only been out for a month and a couple of days, I'm getting ready to take it full fledged, and we about to go bigger than life, man, because things have to change, and the only way that they have to change is that we about to change with these brothers that's getting out. Because what's going to happen is this, and I'm gonna say this last thing and give it back to you, is that at first it was the prison looking out for society. Now society has to look out for the prison and build the prison back up so the prison could get back strong and embrace society with humility, man. Because we got a lot of brothers that's up in there that went and left these babies by themselves. And by them leaving these babies by themselves, man, they became a situation to where it was a little bit out of control. And out of control can be more or less savaged a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
we'll get it together.
There it is right there. Follow Blink. He's on IG. He's on Facebook. Um, we'll
That's
leave.
Siddiqui.
Go
That's
ahead.
Siddiqui, right? And you can follow me on Facebook at Siddiqui Raheem, and you can follow us on IG under liferisforchange.com.
There it is right there. So follow the homie. DD also has all the links in the description. And before we leave, I want to bring JB back in one more time so he can end off and put anything else out there he wants to. JB, if you're still there, anything you want to leave the people with, bro?
Yeah, I'm still here, man. Well, I mean, to touch on life is for change.
JB come in all hey hey JB man, go ahead bro. All jokes aside, go ahead JB.
It's all good. I just want to add more to basically putting more headlights and sunshine into life is for change.
Okay.
Life is for change is something that, I mean, it is what it means. You know, it's change. Not just changing lifers' lives, but changing lives. You know, and that's why earlier I said it's gonna touch the world, because you're dealing with individuals that unfortunately did a lot of time, and however gracefully learned and develop learn to develop a sense of consciousness about themselves, desire to basically get out and
awesome platform to share transformation.
You know, and it's something like, as I said, I share something with Blink several times. You know, there's certain people that, you got these psychologists, and I'm not talking bad on the psychologists that went to college, but I remember when I was inside, there was certain people who couldn't relate to me. Certain psychologists couldn't relate, and then you have the individuals that, didn't go to college for that, but they can relate, they can get through to you and help you understand, because everybody has a unique situation, everybody has a unique mind. And, so life is for change. I know it's going to consist of individuals that's able to relate and touch people that have a genius inside themselves to be productive out here, because there's no program. I don't want to say no program. It's just not, everything is not black and white. There's gray areas, that need to be touched on. And that's pretty much it, what I want to leave it with. Like, life is for change, is going to basically touch on things from psychology, helping individuals understand themselves, understand what they want. It's going to basically also, as Blink said earlier, focus on a campaign on freeing Key Fudge, somebody that's been wrongfully convicted. And, for other individuals later down the line that are just, wrongfully convicted or serving unconstitutional times, and they have to file post-convictions. Post-convictions is very hard, to get things turned around. But having a system set up, a certain legal system set up that can basically touch on that, is going to be very profound and delightful. So life is for change, man. That's what it's really about. I'm very proud of it, and I'm glad that Blink is home to put that in full motion.
Right. There it is. Thank you, JB. Hey, tell the people they can follow you at, if you want to be followed. I know you be low key. You got your thing going on, but JB, you be like hard to find. So if you want the people to tap in with you, let them know how they can do that.
Okay, I can be found at in my background, BPCS Law Evictions. It's on Facebook, it's on Instagram. And then if you want to follow my personal page, which I use for a lot of motivational purposes, people that like to exercise or do martial arts, you can go at Jaron702. JARON 7.
JB will fuck you up too. Don't get it twisted. But go ahead, JB.
Now that's just for sports, man. You know,
for recreational purposes. Go ahead, bro.
Letting out anger. You can let all that stress after the day. You can punch a bag or two, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, Jaron702 on IG. That's my personal Instagram. And then BPCS Law Evictions will be my business Instagram. And that's also on Facebook. You can find me there.
There it is right there, JB. Shout out to the homie Tim. Shout out to the homie James. And we're going to let you end it off, Blink. Thank you, JB. We're going to let you end it off, Blink. Go ahead, bro.
Well, nah, we're gonna do this right here, man. We're gonna let the man that touched all of us and gave us the inspiration, man, to become the greater person that we are, to allow me to wake up every morning and tell myself when I look in the mirror, I'm amazing. So we're gonna let James kill it, man, and I'm gonna do that right there, man.
Let's go. Go ahead, James.
All right, what's up, comrade? Hey, I say this, brother, short and to the point. Before you do something that's going to alter you the rest of your life and somebody else's life, just stop, man, and take a moment, man, and ask yourself, not the set, not the homies, not the image, not the status. Is this really worth it? And is it still going to be worth it 30 years from now? And I'm going to leave it at that, Conrad, because at the end of the day, any man that asks himself that question, in most cases, it ain't even worth it. And it ain't going to mean shit to nobody, man, in 30 years. So I'm going to leave it at that, Conrad. And you have a nice night. Appreciate you. And hopefully I can step out here again, man, and maybe rap with you again. And maybe we can change some lives, man, and even save some.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We're going to be in touch, James. I'm going to tap in with you. We're going to make some things happen, bro. This only the beginning.
Much love.
Yes. Peace. Hey. Yes, sir. And with that being said, man, we're going to slide up out of here. JB. I mean, I'm sorry, Blink.
Yeah, what's up, Playboy?
Antonio.
Yeah. On the real.
A-Dub, take us out, man. Take us out of here on the real.
Yeah, man. Well, what I'm going to say, man, I'm going to lead with this right here, man, is that the struggle can be your foundation, or the struggle could be your weakness. But the one thing that can keep you humble and keep you with faith is God, man. And I'm going to step on that and stand firm on that, because once we allow our faith to be our beginning, we allow our beginning to be our future.
There it is. Mr. Blink, y'all. 38 years served. He's home now. About to do some great things. James, 33 years. Tim, 25 years. JB, he been home, but he served his time 12 straight. You know what I mean? He was in there whooping He was in there whooping feet, so he had to do his he had to max out. So shout out to JB. He's helping people now, man. So shout out to my brothers,
right.
man. We out of here, man. It's a G-Lew show. Shout out to my producer, DD Hairston. Shout out to E-Visions. What up, bro? Everyone in the chat. Mama Pearl, Spanks, Cecilia, everyone who joined us tonight. If you miss anything, go back and check the top of it, because it was great, man. I love you all. We out of here till the next time. It's a G-Lew show. And this is what we do. We change lives, man, for the better. Put God first, and everything else will follow. We out of here, man. Till the next time. Peace.